Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our preview for Only Murders in the Building, Season 3, Episode 6. The title for this episode, Ghost Light.
Woo!
I'm so excited for this episode. Like, really, we get to be, well, one, we get to make those noises all the time. Two, this feels, and we'll get into the synopsis in a bit, but this feels like an homage to Scooby-Doo to me. And I am a very big Scooby-Doo fan, at least the older stuff. And I think this show kind of has a similar humor sensibility. You know, at the end of at least most old school Scooby-Doo episodes, they think something supernatural is happening when in reality, it's not. I think they can play around with all of this. I don't know how many answers this episode is going to give us.
Yeah, I think they're going to give us probably a little bit. I mean, there's been, now that I've gone back and rewatched last episode, there's a lot of stuff to talk about in this video of sort of like, I was on one track and now I'm on another track. I still think there's two killers. Is this next episode going to reveal like a lot? No, of course not. We're only in episode 6, but usually by this point they are starting to give much bigger clues, especially after that cliffhanger with the book, the scrapbook that's filled with pictures of Ben and Dickie in the background. So we're going to get into all of that.
All right. Well, have your tinfoil hats ready. And
oh, it's on.
Okay,
it's on. Just get it on.
Let's just prepare in advance. Also, hit that subscribe button because we are just 150 subscribers away from 65,000.
It's so exciting.
I know. We have been doing this at YouTube for a very long time, and we're really grateful to everybody for your support over the years. Like, subscribing helps to make sure you don't miss any other videos. It supports us. We are very, very grateful. So thank you guys. Please hit that subscribe button.
Thank you so much to everyone who has helped get us to this point. It's amazing.
Okay,
let's talk about the scrapbook. Because originally, I think a lot of us were like, oh, Loretta is Ben's mom. Like that maybe he was put up for adoption or something like that, because it's all filled with pictures of Ben and Dickie. If you look at those pictures, of course, it's Ben in the front because he's the person who's the star is being photographed. And Dickie's always just kind of in the background because, he's helping him, he's, assisting with him, helping manage him, all of that stuff. He's always with him. So it makes sense that he would be at all of Ben's events, red carpets, whatever, that they'd be like, oh, we want to take a picture of Ben. Okay, so Dickie will just kind of move off to the side, but he's in all those pictures too. So tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
The person that is actually, Loretta's kid is Dickie. And it makes sense too, because she said something in this past episode where she was just like, oh, sweet, innocent Dickie. And, she really tore a strip off of Ben. I was just like, wow, listen, I know not all mother-son relationships are great, and sometimes that happens. And if your son's an extra jerk like Ben, then maybe you're going to be called a pig. But I mean, it seems a little extreme to be calling your kid a pig. But I mean, who knows how far Ben really pushed that,
Yeah.
I still think that Dickie is one of the people responsible for killing Ben. I mean, I just do. I think that it's a really complicated, bad relationship. Loretta has said how badly Ben has been treating Dickie, and we've seen a little bit of that, but it's probably a lot worse than, we know.
This is where it all gets really complicated for me, because I do think this theory you're putting up is right. Like, I do. It just makes so much sense. Like, one of the things that we said in our review is that, okay, they really want to make us think that Loretta is Ben's mom, and it's almost too obvious a reveal. But to have it be Dickie, like, yeah. And also, this would help to further cement why she would want Dickie to represent her so quickly after Ben is gone. It's like, okay, it's another way to establish a connection to my biological son. Everything else we said in the last video still holds water, that, she was a struggling actress. She probably couldn't make ends meet. Giving her kid up for adoption probably felt like the right move. Like, I am really curious about, When did she find out that Ben and or Dickie were going to be involved in all of this? How has this shaped her experience throughout Death Rattle? Like, there's still a lot of questions. Now, it still doesn't make me think that that Dickie killed Ben. It doesn't make me think necessarily that this is 100% connected to the murder, because it could all be another elaborate red herring that leads us to the truth, or at the very least, something that gives us a good sense of the emotional sort of stakes for each character and what's going on behind the scenes. Maybe Ben was aware of a lot of this, and maybe he's used to getting the attention, and he's seeing that his brother is getting this attention from Loretta, and it's causing him to lash out at everybody, making everybody more inclined to want to take him out.
Yeah, for sure.
This is a really interesting twist, though, if they go in this way. Like, your idea of having it be Dickie, like, this would mean that Dickie for sure is going to have a much bigger role in the spotlight in the second half of this season.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a sort of the formula that they've had on this show before, where it's like, the first season, spoilers, Jen is the killer, and she didn't really become a bigger player on the season until like midway through. Like, she was kind of sprinkled very lightly. We've seen Dickie very lightly throughout the first half of the season. Now we're going into episode 6, it feels like he's going to start to have a bit of a bigger role. That's why, as much as I'm like, it's not Cliff, and I still don't think it's Cliff, it's that same sort of thing. Yeah. We've met Cliff, and he's been sprinkled very lightly in the first part of the season, but not a lot. So that makes me suspicious.
Yeah, I think
it's Dickie.
It's Cliff. But either way,
and Robert Tobbert. Okay. They in cahoots.
Okay, no, what you're saying is right. Like, they don't want to make you think it's the killer that is, the real killer too soon in a season. Like, then they're giving the game away, unless they do something where, I think we even suggested this in the last video we did, where they make you think this person could be the killer, then they disprove it, and then they're able to circle back. But I think it's more likely that, it's somebody like Cliff or like Dickie, who we have kind of seen a little bit of, and we haven't seen that much of as of yet, because they're saving their real intent, their real motive down the road. Like, for Cliff, it could be, a secret relationship with Ben, something unrequited. It could be insurance money. It could be something related to finances, having to pay Ben a lot of money. There's still a lot of different threads out there, because Ben is such a terrible person that almost anybody would have a motive in this production.
Absolutely. Okay, let's get into the synopsis here. So this is how it reads. I'm going to read it for you guys. I've got it written down.
Yeah.
All roads lead the trio back to the Gooseberry Theater during a nerve-rattling thunderstorm. So it definitely has that feel of like haunted.
Yeah.
It was a dark and stormy night. With Howard as their jittery guide, they track a legendary ghost who's haunted the theater for generations.
Boo. They wrote boo.
They did.
At the end of this. I love this synopsis. I have a good theory for this.
All right, we already have our tinfoil hats on, so
okay.
Let's go.
This also works very much to me in the Scooby-Doo persuasion. So the idea of like an urban legend that a ghost is haunting this theater, like, this is something that, of course, actors who work there would probably say over a long period of time. But we also know something about actors, and I'm not an actor, I do not act, but I was in high school theater productions, and this is what I know.
You are an actor.
This is what I know from my tiny experience of acting. You get so much in your own head, you kind of forget about reality around you sometimes. I think this legendary ghost is probably just some like 75-year-old janitor who has been working at this theater overnights for like 5 decades, and people just forget that they're kind of there, and that at the end of the day, though, maybe this person shows up, maybe nobody ever pays them any attention, but they watch, they see everything, they are always around. This janitor could be a very key source of information. At the very least, maybe they didn't see what happened with Ben, quote unquote, dying at the theater, but maybe they at least know some very shady or strange relationships that are going on.
I'm sure if there's like a janitor there, they would know all, see all.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea. Also, you could cast somebody really, really cool in this role. Like, just it's a 1 episode gig. You get like another comedy icon, somebody else who like maybe Steve Martin and Martin Short know from SNL, and just get them in that sort of role. Like that would just make me very, very happy.
Dave Foley.
Can you imagine?
I
Dave
love
Foley?
him so much. He's so funny.
It would be heaven. Like the other,
it absolutely would be. He's going to be on the upcoming season of Fargo. He was just on the morning show. I mean, I just love him. Yeah. He's so funny.
Now, he's not 75 years old. The only other name I would throw out is this. I don't know if they could get him, and I know Only Murders got Meryl Streep, but Eddie Murphy. Can you get Eddie Murphy for 1 episode of Only Murders? I would ascend in the middle of the episode if Eddie Murphy shows up.
Hey, apparently Matthew Broderick is still showing up, and like, where is he?
Yeah, okay, so there are still a lot of loose threads happening on the show right now. You know, Matthew Broderick is one of them.
Yeah, I mean, because this is the thing, is like, Jonathan, to me, tinfoil hat is still on, is not going to be the lead of this show. You're not going to go from having, you know, Ben, who's this huge star and gonna bring people in to come and see this big name, and then it's like, oh, well, he's died, so we're gonna bring in Jonathan, Howard's boyfriend. And I'm not saying that he's not good at it, but he's not like, he doesn't have the star power to draw people in to be like, oh, I need to see this play. Jonathan, I mean, I don't know who he is, but hopefully he's going to be great. They need to bring in Matthew Broderick.
Yes, and hopefully that you guys put him in the trailer, so I would assume you're not putting him in the trailer if he's just showing up in the finale. Like you want him there before that, because if you haven't seen him yet and it's like episode 9 or whatever, everybody's gonna think that's like a huge chunk of the ending, and they've got it all figured out.
Yeah.
Speaking of Jonathan, though, is this going to be the episode we get some more information on this whole Dr. C thing and what's going on? Because this can be a problem with some of these murder mystery shows sometimes, is that Mabel's got this big chunk of information now. If she is just like off gallivanting with Oliver and Charles around the theater at night, like, isn't she going to talk about this? Aren't they going to try to figure this out?
Yeah, it's the synopsis sounds like it's going to be a fun episode, but it also makes it sound like it's going to be kind of like an in a bottle episode, like Breaking Bad and The Fly, something where it's just like everybody's gonna be at the theater. There's gonna be this cool, fun, spooky story, but it's like there's only 10 episodes of this show. So if that's the case, like, you need every episode counts. It has to move things forward in some kind of way, especially with that cliffhanger where we had Oliver find that scrapbook. I mean, they need to move things forward. They can't just be fooling around in the theater playing Scooby-Doo.
Now, the last thing on my mind here, this goes to your 2 killer theory, which, you know, I'm not a subscriber of it, but you can do your dance, because I think if they're doing the 2 killer theory, this is something that would be a great argument for it. These people are spending a lot of time investigating at the theater. Why are they not investigating more at the Arconia? Why is there not more happening at that place, given that there is a chance that these are 2 different people? And at the end of the day, one of the big twists here could be that they're spending all this time. They think they've figured out who is responsible for Ben's death, and then they figure out, oh yeah, okay, I did this, but I'm not the one who pushed him off the elevator shaft. And then it's like, all right, guys, you have wasted your time. I don't think you did, because I think it's Cliff and both, but you might have wasted your time.
No, I still think that it's Dickie and Robert Taubert, but I've switched it. I originally thought it was Dickie at the theater and Robert Taubert at the elevator, but I actually think that it's reversed. I think Robert Taubert did something there at the theater, and then Dickie was at the elevator.
Okay, well, we will be back to talk all about Ghost Light in the near future. So hit that subscribe button. Help us get to that 65,000 milestone. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to all of our patrons for your support. We'll see you here next time.